Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. I have another one here for you that I've been waiting on for a while. A couple other things came up, but this one is like a compare and contrast. I have Mark Levin here, who everybody knows has dual loyalties, America and Israel, and he's a very passionate zealot for this particular excursion that's going on. And then right after him, we're going to follow up with a discussion between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Megan Kelly. And then we're going to hear from an Iranian American who thinks that this is a timely excursion as well. And then we're going to hear from Jake Tapper, who had a conversation with the president. And for once, he's acting like a journalist and he's not editorializing at all. So, but before we get started, like, share, and subscribe when you pop in. Uh, hit that like button, hit the like button, and then we'll just go from there. So, without further ado, anybody who shows up, the chat is open. And like I said, hit the like button, and let's go ahead and start hearing from Mark Levin. Levin, I guess that's how he pronounces it. All right.
Donald Trump did what nobody else could do for half a century. How do you like that? And you know why he did it? Because he loves his country. You know why he did it? Because he's humane. He saw people slaughtered and he wanted to put an end to it. That's why he did it. Now, it's time that we Americans have to come to grips with something. We have a party in this country, the Democrat Party, that hates the country. Here we are in the middle of a spectacular, humane peace mission where people were being slaughtered. They were being slaughtered right up to the minute we attacked them. We've been talking about it. They've slaughtered our soldiers. They've slaughtered our citizens, our embassy personnel. They come into our country and try and assassinate people. They're the biggest promoters of terrorism, and the Democrats immediately, knee-jerk, they defend the terrorists, like they defend the illegal aliens and the criminals. There's something wrong with that party, that at a time we should be celebrating the most spectacular military act I've ever seen. Khomeini's gone in 20 hours, while their president, Biden, was funding the Iranians billions of dollars, while Obama was paving the way for them to have nuclear weapons. Donald Trump loves this country. He knows right from wrong. And we've had a real psyop going on in this country for 10 years against this man, where they try and pretend he's the authoritarian, he's the dictator. No, they are. They talk about the War Powers Act of 1973. Anybody who is a serious constitutional lawyer knows that act is unconstitutional. I see all these lawyers writing these pieces like they're smart. They're dumb. And every administration, Republican and Democrat, has questioned it, but they haven't brought it to the Supreme Court because neither the Congress or the president wants a resolution. When you have Schumer, who's basically sliding and walking and weaving, all of a sudden he's excited because he can cripple our armed forces in the middle of a war that they're winning. That's what Schumer's doing.
Okay, so now we know that the War Powers Act didn't go through the Senate, so we're not going to have to deal with that. So another time, but I just wanted to get up to date. So they did kind of vote on the War Powers Act in the Senate, and it was resoundingly defeated. So.
Schumer, who supported the Obama nuclear plan, and they would have nuclear weapons today. That's Schumer. Then I see these other people say, Trump hasn't made the case. Trump hasn't made the case. He made the case in 8 minutes. Overwhelming. But why do we need anybody to make the case? Do you have eyes? Do you have ears? Are you an American citizen? You know what this regime's been doing? You know what it's done to our soldiers? Do you know what it's done to our citizens? You know we have people without limbs, without faces, without eyes as a result of that regime? What do you mean we haven't made the case? Are you really that stupid? And I think they are. But that party hates this country. I love when they wave around the Constitution. They hate the Constitution. They use it to attack it. They believe that.
I do agree with him about the new Democrat Party that really, really hates America and almost everything we stand for. They allowed themselves to get taken over by this socialist, regime where anything goes. And it's kind of funny because all the old heads, the baby boomer generation of the Democrat Party, they would have been for any excursion into Iran. They just didn't have the guts to do.
Illegal aliens or citizens, they believe that terrorists should be given the benefit of the doubt. Listen, if they had their way, Donald Trump would have sent Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and others to go to Congress and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to attack them at 3 a.m. We're going to use these kinds of forces. We're going to work with the Israelis. This is what we're going to do. Now tell the other 530 members of Congress what we're going to do. Wow, no.
This is why I started with Mark Levin, because we know his allegiances are America and Israel. And nobody can really doubt that, tail wagging the dog, that dog wagging the tail, whatever it is. Israel has gotten us into a lot of different excursions and wars with the Muslim countries. But it's not like they had to really drag us kicking and screaming. We get into it. There's still some free will here. It's unfortunate that we're never going to get around their influence on our government. I mean, it's just theirs. They're linked. Okay, so nobody wants to see Americans die for somebody else's cause, but if we neutralize Iran, it'll benefit us as well.
Nobody would leak that, would they? Bernie Sanders and AOC and Tlaib? Of course not. Let me tell you what the founders of this country believe. They changed the word from making war in the first draft of the Constitution to declaring war. They specifically took that out because they don't want the Chuck Schumers of the world making decisions. The only person in Washington, D.C. who's elected by all the people, other than the vice president, is the president of the United States. Chuck Schumer's elected from New York. Bernie Sanders is elected from Vermont. They wanted the commander-in-chief to be elected by the entirety of the nation. And they're even talking about impeaching him if they take the House of Representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an enemy within, and it is the Democrat Party. Every reprobate, miscreant, and malcontent is in that party. The Marxists and the Islamists are in that party. Do they act like they love the nation? Do they? When we have men and women in uniform, Democrats and Republicans and independents, fighting an enemy, fighting terrorists, the greatest terror regime in the world history, and we're winning. And that's why they're going nuts. We're winning. This is so spectacular what's taking place. And I want our troops to know something. These people who are trying to undermine you, they are a small percentage of the population. We red-blooded Americans, we love victory. And we love you. You are of us. And most of us have had relatives, if not ourselves, in the military. Chuck Schumer means nothing to us. Hakeem Jeffries means nothing to us. You, Mr. and Mrs. America, we support our military. We support our commander-in-chief. We support...
Is anybody out there really thinking that, this is new for Mark Levin? I mean, this is who this guy is. Just stay tuned for the person I have up next. I want to have this kind of compare and contrast. So this is his turn. He's really sanguine about this particular, issue. And, I don't blame him, because if it's like killing two birds with one stone for this guy.
Victory. This is a spectacular military operation with our spectacular ally, the Israelis, with their spectacular prime minister. It's working. It's effective. It's spectacular. And these guys, we have to hurry back to Congress. We need to have a vote on the War Powers Act of 1973. This would be the same party that dragged us into Vietnam, right? Was that a declared war? No, it wasn't a declared war. And I could go on and on and on about the hypocrites in that party. It's their president that was about to hand nuclear weapons to this enemy. It's their president who handed them billions of dollars in cash and so forth. This president isn't going to put up with it, and he hasn't. God bless our president. God bless the prime minister of Israel. And one last thing, as quickly as I can. All those poor people who died on October 7th, all those hostages who were taken, and raped and tortured and murdered and brutalized. This is for you. All of those Americans were walking around without arms or legs. They're in wheelchairs, have died. All of those people who died in our embassies, all those people who've died from their terrorist acts, this is for you. And this is retribution. You know what? We Americans like retribution, especially when it comes to dealing with terrorists. Khomeini is dead. He's not 6 feet under. He's in hell. He's got a river of blood on his hands. And the Iranian people are going to be free. They're going to be free. America's going to be safe. The Israelis are going to be safe. The world's going to be safe. No thanks to the UN, no thanks to Europe, and most of all, no thanks to the Democrats. I say this to the Democrats. Bring it on, baby. You don't know what you're dealing with. We, the American people, we've had it up to here with you. Issue your press releases. Go on your TV shows. And by the way, quickly, when did Tom Massey become the mouthpiece for the Republican Party? He's a non-entity. He's a radical libertarian. I keep hearing, Tom Massey says. I don't give a damn what Tom Massey has to say. He doesn't represent me. He's an irrelevancy. He will be a footnote to a footnote to a footnote in history if he's a footnote at all. That's it. I'm done.
That's a pretty good rant. Okay, so for all of you guys that think I'm one-sided, this part is for you. Megyn Kelly and MTG, okay? And MTG has her moment in the sun, and she's acting like a jilted lover, and because she can't stand Trump. And she has a point. But I think she's going too far, because does she want these damn liberals back in office? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but here goes.
Great to see you. Thank you for being here. I sense your aggravation, your frustration as I watched your Twitter feed, and you were in the minority on X, which again, it was just, I mean, X is completely saturated in neocons, the pro-Israel crowd, and people who would love to cheerlead us right into another Middle East ground war that's endless. I was grateful for your contrary perspective, Marjorie. Thank you for being here today, and give us your overall view on why you're against this.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Megyn. And I completely agree with everything you said in your intro. I'd also like to point out that X is saturated in bots as well, and paid social media influencers who just echo whatever their money tells them to say, the money that they're getting paid for. And so I think that just like our media has been nothing but propaganda for as long as you and I can remember, I think social media has turned into the same thing. What I do know is most Americans, and it's being proved in polling that's coming out, most Americans are completely against this war because, like you said, the president has made no case for it. We live our ordinary lives and we don't feel threatened by Iran. We don't walk around thinking that in any moment an Iranian ballistic missile is going to land on our head. We don't. Here's what Americans, and I want to read.
You guys agree with what she's saying? Listen, none of us, listen, I've done plenty of lives on this issue, and I didn't want this to happen either. Now that we're in the mix, right? Now that we're in the mix and our soldiers are at risk, how far do we take our opposition? That's something to think about.
Read off this list. This is what Americans are focused on. 72% of Americans can't afford health insurance. 58% of Americans can't afford car insurance. 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 31% of Americans can't afford their back taxes. 50% of Americans are in credit card debt, massive credit card debt. That's where we are in America. And I campaigned with the president. As a matter of fact, I was one of the only Republicans that was out there for Donald Trump when the rest of the neocons, by the way, that are just cheering him on now, had abandoned him and were trying to beat him in a primary and stop him from being president again. I was out there on the front lines for Make America Great Again. And Make America Great Again was supposed to be America first, not Israel first, not any foreign country first, not any foreign people first, but the American people first.
She's absolutely right on this particular point. That's what he sold during the campaign. And he started out well. And then we veered off with his very first meeting with Netanyahu. We fell off the tracks. But does it give her cause to be so adamantly against him every time every chance she gets? And what would her defection mean for the midterms? Is she going to vote for these socialists, or is she going to just stay away from the polls? What does she want to happen? You know, do you throw out the baby with the bathwater? You're mad at Trump. Okay, we get it.
First in our problems. And God bless the Iranian people. I hope to God that they can have a government that is for them and that treats women fairly. But what we have seen happen right now is we have seen over 100 little girls killed at a school from a bomb. And I don't know whose bomb it was, but they're dead today because America and Israel attacked Iran. So that's not really good for Iranian women. And our president is saying that the Iranian people are all of a sudden going to topple their regime. Well, I don't think the Iranian people are going to be toppling their regime when they're getting blown apart by the United States and Israel in an unprovoked attack. And yes, it was unprovoked. And Pete Hegseth said this morning, Megan, he said that we didn't start this war. But I hate to argue with the Secretary of the Department of War. America and Israel definitely started this war, and you can't lie that away to the American people. And so, you know how I feel right now? I am irate. I am furious about this. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt. How much is this war going to cost us? We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries. And now we've had 4 dead and murdered, just like you said, for Israel and for the Iranian people, not for the American people. And I don't want to see any more dead and murdered. Our military is filled with some of the greatest people from our country. And God bless their families who are probably losing their minds right now, terrified that their son or daughter or their husband or wife or brother or sister may come home in a flag-draped coffin. And then we have the president who, by the way, Megan, this really needs to be said. Donald Trump has said repeatedly on camera and in interviews, he doesn't think he's going to heaven. Well, I want to ask a question, a serious question. What is in his mind? What is his mental state? If he doesn't think he's going to heaven and he is a man towards the end, he's in the 4th quarter, he's towards the end of his life. How does that pan out for the rest of us when we have a president of the United States who doesn't think and is convinced he's not going to heaven? What does that mean his decision making is? He already said to the New York Post today that he doesn't care about the polling. He doesn't care about what the American people think, and he may put troops on the ground. He took this is going to be a few-day war, to now it's going to be maybe 4 weeks or more. I want to say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promise it on the campaign. J.D. Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
Mm-hmm. The president on the heaven thing has said he was being cheeky about that he actually doesn't have worries.
Yeah, but you know how people hang on every word he says, and I get where she's coming from. If you got a guy, man, saying that he don't know if he's going to go to the good or the bad place, and he's making decisions for the rest of us, I can see a conspiracy theorist like MTG take that and run with it.
But I understand your greater point. Who is making the decisions? Because the President Trump that was talking to us about going in and, we're going to, the Iranian people, they're going to thank me. I did you a favor. I made you a promise and I lived up to it. He was talking to the Iranian people, not the American people.
Yeah.
I made you a promise and I lived up. What do you mean? They didn't vote for you.
That's right.
They weren't on the campaign trail for you.
Nope.
We're the ones who are putting our best and bravest at risk right now. And he says the Iranian people it's up to them to now sort of take the baton and like install new leadership. They have no guns. They're sheltering in place because we're bombing their country right now. How are they what is the plan for them to then take the baton and install a new leader?
Mm-hmm. I said the same thing. It sounds idiotic, right? if you want the people of Iran to take, you got to have another war by proxy, right? You got to be fun. You got to be giving them funds. You got to give them weapons. You got to give them tactics. You got to give them all of that. And I understand the old regime is like what 500 deep or some shit like that. So you got to, the son is going to take over. I think they're trying to get him now. So it's just words, there was an earlier press conference today about or yesterday about the 4 things that Trump wants to accomplish. And the one thing he didn't say is regime change, so it doesn't make sense. So we're going to let them put one of these crazy ass clerics back in charge, but they're not going to have all the weaponry and all of the, all the weapons. They're going to be toothless, except on their own people, right? Because you don't need bombs to kill your own people. So you put one of these clerics back in, and they're going to just start assassinating their own people again. So, hopefully there's a plan that we just don't know about.
How are they going to do that with the IRGC still intact and they're still being Iranian leaders? Not everybody was wiped out. And his comments to the press today seem to be, they're going to lay down their arms and join with the Iranian patriots.
No, they're not.
Based on what?
Yeah.
Based on what? So if that doesn't happen willingly, just by like the grace of God, okay, we're going to do it, then we are going to have to do it, or Israel's going to have to do it. And the more Israel fights, the more we have to fight, MTG, because that's what got us into this mess to begin with. We saw they were going to head and do it, and we felt like we had no choice because they were going to attack our bases first thing as soon as Israel did it.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. And I heard an analyst say today that okay, we've killed approximately maybe 40 or more of their top leadership and the Ayatollah. Well, guess what? The cleric ruling class is about 50,000 deep in their government. Are we going to kill all 50,000 of them before they can bring a new government in? And while this is happening, Megan, we're bombing them. We are bombing them and killing their people and destroying their buildings and wreaking havoc on their entire ability to function in daily life. Do we really think these people are going to be saying, oh, thank you, America. Thank you. God bless you. We're killing them and killing their children. So I think we're radicalizing a whole new generation of Iranians.
That's what I worry about too.
That don't remember, like me and you, we don't remember. We were kids when the last regime was taken out and this new regime was put in. And I think this whole thing is not what we voted for, Megan. It is absolutely America last. It's the same bullshit we've seen for decades now. And I don't think the president is being tongue-in-cheek. I know that man very well. And he repeatedly says he's not going to heaven, the same way he repeatedly says that he's going, that, what do you think? Should I run for president again? I think that started.
He's not running for president again. Okay, stop it. Just stop it. He's not running for president again.
Doubt as we could take it as a.
But he can't. And you know what? We still have enough government left to make sure that never happens.
Joke, but I don't think he's joking. And I know you're not willing to go there, but I am. I really want to know, what is his mental state? And who is he doing this for? Because it's not for the American people. He's lying. He's gone back on what he promised. No more foreign wars, no more regime change. And I want to know, where the hell is JD Vance? Where is he? Where is Tulsi Gabbard? Because if they stand by and are silent, and they're turning back on the same words they said, it's all on video. All of them are on video saying it, just like I'm on video saying no more foreign wars, no more regime change. I'm on video on campaign stages and at Trump rallies saying the exact same thing. But where's JD and where's Tulsi? And the president.
Well, I'm sure behind the scenes, at least JD has worked to stop this, but he's lost. I mean, that's
he's got to say
what's obvious now is any detractor. The same way Tucker went in and tried to talk Trump out of this, and he lost and admitted the Mark Levins of the world have won.
Yep.
I mean, Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham, forgive me, spent the entire weekend with a massive heart on. There's just no, you could see it in the commentary. They were thrilled. They were gleeful. I mean, they were just overly excited at the fact that we were now risking American troops' lives for Israel. And what does Lindsey Graham do?
I'll tell you what, Lindsey Graham, man, he pisses me off. That freaking guy probably hasn't been in a fist fight in his whole goddamn life. And he's so willing to throw people, out there to get, to sons and daughters out there and put them in harm's way. That's the thing I would get mad at. The other thing is to these lovely ladies here, you have to make some concession that, when you're in charge of a country, that there could be mid-course corrections. That doesn't mean everything else that Trump said is negated. I just hope that part of what they're talking about is true, meaning that we don't put any boots on the ground. If there's any American boots on the ground in Iran, then everything these ladies are saying is absolutely true. And we're into this long, protracted occupational war that is going to just destroy us. And they might as well kiss everything they planned in terms of the Republican and conservative movement in this country goodbye.
To go out there and quell anybody's concerns that's what we're doing. He just keeps doubling down. And now he's mentioned.
And one more thing. This is just your favorite baby boomer talking. If any Israeli soldiers with their uniforms in there killing Iranians and with boots on the ground, it's World War III. It really is.
Mentioning Cuba. Hold on. Do we have that? Yes. Here he is on FNC Sunday night. This is SOT 16.
Is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do? I am a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, and when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's got him in jail. Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead.
Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This is after Trump on Friday. We played this bite on our show on Friday, saying maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba, which we don't know what that means. But now they're talking about Cuba. And let me just give you one more, MTG. The former prime minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, was at the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations in Jerusalem on February 17th. And listen to what he said then. SOT 20.
A new Turkish threat is emerging. I want to be very clear. Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran. Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. And while some senior Israelis were on Qatar's payroll, Qatar and Turkey are nourishing the Islamic Brotherhood monster that is growing and eventually might become as dangerous as the one created by Iran.
But anyway, even in the middle of all the propaganda.
Yeah, so this is what's coming up now is from the Angry Man. And there's an Iranian lady on CNN, nonetheless. And she's an American citizen, but she really lays down why she thinks we should be taking these guys out.
Propaganda, sometimes a little bit of reality slips through the cracks.
I think that it is imperative the Democratic Party wake up and get past their dislike of Donald Trump, the President Trump, and their feelings of international conflicts going on. This is about national security. This is about what is possible in the Middle East. This is about being a good neighbor, good partner to the Gulf states and what their aspirations are. This is about supporting the people of Venezuela. This is about dismembering our relationship with, or not dismembering, but resetting our relationship with China. Right now, 55% of the oil production that Iran produces goes to China despite sanctions. You want to support the people of Ukraine, you want to end that war, you have to. There is no getting around dismembering this Islamic Republic. It is non-negotiable. It is not a want to have, it is a have to have. And it's not just for the Iranian people. I think you have to trust the Iranian people. We know this government better than anyone else. When you dismember and decapitate this regime, you are going to see a change in the Middle East, in Venezuela, in China, in Ukraine. And I think, quite frankly, their ideology has really, it's caused a lot of problems for us worldwide. We need to take it seriously. And I think at this point, we have a tremendous opportunity. This will be like ending the Soviet Union, the Berlin Wall. This is a transformational moment for humankind, for security, and as an American, this is in our interest to complete it. So I am a Democrat. I have been a huge Democrat. I am incredibly disappointed with my party. I do not see myself in them in this moment.
Oh my God. Did you see Dana Bash's face? Like, just go back, rewind the clip, and just stare at her face the entire time that they're talking. She was forced to sit there and listen to a Democrat who actually had a logical view on her own party and how it pertains to the global stage. She couldn't take it. She could not. Her face was priceless.
Yeah, and then one more piece after this is Jake Tapper had a conversation with President Trump. And for once, he's not editorializing. He's saying, I guess, verbatim what Trump told him, and he's conveying that to the audience. So that's the last piece of this, and I have one more thing after that. But, let's listen to his conversation with Donald Trump, or at least his rendition of the conversation.
Got off the phone with President Trump. It was a roughly 9-minute phone interview talking about the war in Iran. Just want to give you the quotes. He said, quote, "We're knocking the crap out of them. I think it's going very well. It's very powerful. We've got the greatest military in the world, and we're using it." I asked the president how long he thought this war might last. He said, "I don't want to see it go on too long. I always thought it would be 4 weeks, and we're a little ahead of schedule." I asked him if the U.S. was doing more to help the Iranian people reclaim their country than the military strikes, if there was other stuff going on. He said, "Yes, we are indeed, but right now we want everyone staying inside. It's not safe out there." He also suggested it was about to get even less safe. "We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon." I asked the president about the fact that Iran attacked Arab countries in the region, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. He said that was the biggest surprise so far for him and his team. Quote, "We were surprised. We told them," meaning the Arab countries, "we've got this." And now they want to fight, and they're aggressively fighting. They were going to be very little involved, and now they insist on being involved. He said of the Arab leaders of those countries, "I know these people, they're tough and smart." The Iranians, he said, quote, "shot into a hotel. They shot into an apartment house. It just made them," meaning the Arab leaders, "angry. They love us, but they were watching. There was no reason for them to be involved." That was probably the biggest surprise. You have to understand they were living under that dark cloud for years, meaning the Iranian nuclear threat. That's why you could never have peace. I asked, okay, well, who's going to lead Iran now? The president said, "We don't know who the leadership is. We don't know who they'll pick. Maybe they'll get lucky and get someone who knows what they're doing."
It's the title of this, right? If it's not regime change, then what is it? Then what is it? Now, whether they tell us or not, Mr. President, you got to have a plan for after all this bombing is over. Okay, we'll take out their infrastructure. We'll take out their war machine. We take out their Navy. Part of the reason why you went in, even if it's a small part, was the massacre of their own people over the last month or so. But they don't need a Navy. They don't need heavy weaponry to kill their citizenry after the son of the Ayatollah takes over. All that stuff could continue on those protesters, right? This guy is in his 50s, maybe early 60s, vim, vigor, and eager to make his way. So if we leave them in charge, the same clerics in charge, have we really accomplished anything other than destroying their infrastructure and their Navy and their Army and their missiles? Is that enough?
He said, lost a lot in terms of leadership because of the initial strikes. Not only was Ayatollah Khamenei killed, but also 49 other Iranian leaders, he said. It was an amazing strike. They got a little bit arrogant by meeting all in one place. They thought they were undetectable. They weren't undetectable. We were shocked by it. They don't even know who's leading them now. We went down 49, he said, meaning 49 leaders on the leadership chart there. We don't know who's leading the country now. They don't know who's leading. It's a little like the unemployment line. The president said that they tried to make a deal with the Iranians, but we couldn't make a deal with these people. He said every offer was met with a walk back of a previous offer. They had all that enriched stuff, he said, referring to uranium. They looked at redoing it there. This is after the strikes last June. But it was in such bad shape, the mountain had basically collapsed. The president said, this is the way to deal with Iran. We don't have to worry about agreements. He talked about all of the years, decades of killing and IEDs and all the destruction that Iran has wreaked on the United States and other countries. He said people in the military walking around with no legs, walking around with no arms, their faces shattered. He said that today's military operation was of a piece, part of a larger campaign. We took out Soleimani last time. That's referring to the Iranian general, Qassem Soleimani. He was an unbelievably violent, vicious general. Hitting him, he said, was a big move. If that didn't happen, then you might not have Israel today. Israel might not exist. Then he referred to Midnight Hammer, the strike against the Iranian nuclear facilities last June. They were a month away from having a nuclear weapon. He criticized.
Now, you know, that's the kind of bullshit that I don't like. How do you know they were a month away? You know, that's like hyperbole. Who knows how far away they were? I mean, I don't even know if you need to go that far. We're already in the mix, so we don't need to make shit up, okay? Because they've been a month away from a nuclear weapon for like 10 years now, So let's stop the bullshit.
Obama's nuclear deal with Iran. He said it gave all the power to Iran. They would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it against Israel. They maybe would have used it against us. In the latest talks, he said the Iranians, quote, weren't willing to give us what we asked for. They should have done it. So it's going good, the president said before getting off the phone.
All right. So that was it. And let me just leave you with this. I think at some point we got to decide. I mean, we're all Americans. We got to decide what we're going to do and what we want to do with this. And, I don't know how we're going to get past this, but we're in the mix now and we got to decide. We got to take a side one way or the other. Correct? Now, I tried to do this earlier today, but I'm going to play this for you because I love this particular haunting song about this is our America, and we should, no matter what, if we're American, we got to stand for it. We got to stand for it no matter what.
From the mountains high to the valleys low, where the rivers run free, the wildflowers grow. From the shores of the ocean to the deserts wide, every heart beats proud with a spirit inside. And oh, America, you're a tapestry so grand, with colors of freedom painted across the land. In every sunrise and every starry night, you shine with hope, you burn so bright. In the bustling cities and the quiet towns, and the laughter and love that dead people found. From the Golden Gate Bridge to the shores of Maine, in the warmth of your heart, we dance through the rain. And oh, America, you're a tapestry so grand, with colors of freedom painted across the land. In every sunrise and every starry night, you shine with hope, you burn so bright. No, America, you're a tapestry so grand, with colors of freedom painted across the land. In every sunrise and in every starry night, you shine with hope, it's so bright. Full of love and compassion, carry the flame in our hearts forever. America's the land.
All right, folks. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Hey, you know what? America, love it or leave it. That's the way it is, man. Our Payne, your favorite baby boomer, over and out.